In 1986, in Newtown, Connecticut, a flight attendant named Helle Crafts vanished without a trace. Her husband, Richard, claimed she'd gone to visit her sick mother in Denmark, but Helle's friends were suspicious. Richard had a temper. He was having an affair, and Helle had recently told them, "If anything happens to me, don't think it was an accident." This chilling premonition would kickstart one of the most bizarre and groundbreaking investigations in criminal history. The police initially had nothing to go on. No body, no weapon, no crime scene. Richard Crafts seemed to have committed the perfect crime. Hey! He was a former Marine and a commercial pilot, a man who planned meticulously. He'd even passed a lie detector test. Friends and family painted a picture of a troubled marriage, but without Helle's body, it was all just suspicion. The case seemed destined to go cold. But one private investigator, Keith Mayo, hired by Helle's mother, refused to give up. He remembered a curious detail a snowplow driver had mentioned. The driver had seen Richard Crafts out with a large wood chipper near the Zoar Bridge in the middle of a fierce blizzard, just days after Helle disappeared. It was an odd time and place for yard work. This single observation, this tiny crack in the perfect facade, would blow the case wide open. Investigators converged on the frozen banks of the Housatonic River. The task seemed impossible, searching for microscopic evidence in the dead of winter. They brought in cadaver dogs, divers, and forensic experts. For days, they combed through the snow, ice, and frigid water beneath the bridge. It was a painstaking, needle-lined haystack search. And then they found it. A small fragment of a fingernail, coated in pink nail polish. Helle was known to wear that exact shade. Then, more discoveries. A tooth cap matching Helle's dental records, tiny bone fragments, blonde hair strands, and fibers from her clothing. It was a gruesome puzzle, scattered in the snow. Richard had used the wood chipper to obliterate Helle's body, believing he could erase every trace of his crime. He almost succeeded, but he hadn't accounted for the freezing temperatures. The cold had preserved the tiny pieces of evidence, preventing them from decomposing or being washed away. He also didn't realize that a wood chipper, while destructive, isn't a perfect disintegrator. It shreds, but it doesn't vaporize. Each piece they found was another nail in his coffin. The star of the investigation, however, was a forensic scientist named Dr. Henry Lee. He was tasked with proving that the microscopic fragments found were indeed human and that they belonged to Helle Crafts. This was before DNA testing was commonplace, so Lee had to rely on groundbreaking techniques. He examined the tooth cap, which was a perfect match to Helle's dental x-rays. He analyzed the bone fragments, some no larger than a grain of rice, and identified them as human. He even found a tiny piece of human tissue on the chainsaw Richard had used. Under a microscope, Dr. Lee found something incredible on one of the wood chips recovered from the scene, a tiny speck of blue fiber. Intertwined with a single blonde hair, stained with type O blood, Helle's blood type. Dr. Lee didn't just analyze the evidence. He demonstrated for the jury how a human body would be processed by a wood chipper, using a pig carcass to show the distinct pattern of shredding and dispersal. It was a grim but powerful demonstration. He showed how the machine would leave behind a telltale spray of tissue, bone, and hair, exactly what was found at the river. The prosecution pieced together the timeline. Richard murdered Helle in their bedroom, froze her body in a large freezer he'd purchased just before her disappearance, and then dismembered her with a chainsaw before feeding her remains through the rented wood chipper. He thought the river and the snow would hide his secret forever. The defense argued that without a body, there was no proof of murder. They claimed Helle could have simply run away. But the mountain of forensic evidence was overwhelming. The fingernail, the tooth, the hair, the bone chips, they all told the story of Helle's final moments. The jury was convinced. The case without a body was built on evidence so small it was almost invisible. In 1989, Richard Crafts was found guilty of murder and sentenced to 50 years in prison. He was the first person in Connecticut's history to be convicted of murder without a body. His perfect crime was unraveled by a determined snowplow driver, a relentless investigator, and a brilliant forensic scientist who knew that even the smallest clues can speak the loudest. The Helle Crafts case revolutionized forensic science. It proved that a conviction was possible even without the most crucial piece of evidence, the victim's body. It highlighted the power of trace evidence and meticulous scientific analysis. It showed that no matter how clever a criminal thinks they are, they always leave something behind. Hell's chilling warning to her friends became her legacy, a voice from beyond the grave that ensured justice was served. It's a powerful reminder that the truth, no matter how deeply buried, has a way of coming to light. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into solved mysteries. Let me know in the comments what case you'd like me to cover next. See you in the next video.